Hello, everyone, and welcome to the R6ANZ podcast number 5. This is now season 2. We had a short break over PAX and the APAC Pro League LAN, but we are back now. We have some special guests tonight. We have Ben Green.
Hello, friends.
Ben Green is from ESL. He was the desk host at APAC LAN and the stage host at PAX. We also have Shifty from Athletico.
Hello, everybody.
And KataVACE from KataVACE.CVD.
Hello.
So tonight the theme is the APAC LAN and PAX, because we've had kind of the most intense weeks, 2 weeks period that we've had in R6ANZ for quite a long time. We've had 2 LAN events with players and teams, and everyone has been there. There's so many people who have been around, and it's fantastic to finally actually see everyone in person and get ESL so heavily involved. So we've got a lot of different perspectives in the room at the moment, because we've got people who are players, we've got people who are team managers, we've got people who are casters, and we've got people who work for ESL full time. So we've got lots of different things, lots of different perspectives that we can have on all the events.
It should be an awesome podcast. So if Dev hasn't already made it pretty abundantly clear, tonight's podcast is going to be focused on what happened at PAX in the LAN, and we really want to sort of, for those of you that couldn't make it, which is a lot of you, we want to sort of, I guess, give you a taste of what the LAN and PAX was like, both from, I guess, just the normal people that were going, and a little bit more behind the scenes with people like KataVACE and Ben Green.
I think that the behind the scenes part is going to be particularly interesting for a lot of the people who were in the audience but didn't actually get to see behind the scenes what people like yourself, Sky, what you were doing inside the production room as an observer during the LAN.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to observe or co-observe with MC, who is the main ESL observer. He's absolutely amazing at what he does, and
The number one shoutcaster in ANZ, mate. Just let's put that out there.
Yep. MC flip the coin.
MC, flip the coin.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. He's the number one. Awesome guy to work with. He taught me a lot. It was an absolutely amazing experience for me to sort of work alongside him at both events. Yeah, I guess that's about it for me.
So you've worked with MC a lot before, Ben, I'm assuming.
Yeah, MC is like our go-to spectator for a ton of stuff. He actually, on the weekend, I think he spectated obviously Rainbow Six. He did Smite and Paladins. He did Dota. He does CS:GO for us as well. I think maybe he even does World of Tanks. I'm not sure, but he literally, I haven't met someone who's more dedicated to spectating than he is. Like, he actually puts the effort in. But normally people are willing to put the effort in to shoutcast or whatever because they get to be on camera, but he puts the effort in and then sits behind the camera. So that's pretty cool.
I remember when I first heard about MC from Jeebus, Jeebus was saying, MC is amazing. We give him Rainbow Six, and he sits down, and he learns the controls in 5 minutes, he hides the HUD, and then he goes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He has a skill for spectating, and he has a cool haircut. So.
What's it actually like being in the spectating den, Sky? There are 2 observers. I'm assuming that most people don't actually know that there are 2 observers, because when we play on our dedicated servers, you can't have dual spectator. They haven't implemented that system yet. But on LAN, we can have player-hosted dual spectators. So you can have 2 perspectives going at once. How does that work?
So pretty much the way that me and MC were doing it is, so MC was the live feed, so his went out to the stream, because he's, as I said, number one, he's got absolutely amazing observing knowledge. He really knows his stuff, and I was sort of there to scout out the action, because I've got a little bit more game knowledge in Rainbow Six, telling him where the action was happening, and sort of just being, I guess, trying to stay one step ahead of him. He was making everything look really nice and crispy, awesome production quality, and I was sort of there just try and stay one step ahead of him and try to spot the action out before it happened, and then I would let him know, and then he would sort of crisply sort of transfer on over. And yeah, I think in the end we did a pretty alright job.
Can't remember who I was talking to, but someone specifically said this APAC LAN has been amazing. The feed, the live feed, the amount of like frags that we actually caught, that UNMC caught, has been way beyond anything that we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I think that really, I think I looked on Liquipedia, and I looked at like the previous R6 Pro League LAN, and they only had one observer. So I think in the future we really need to start seeing that second observer slot being used and sort of abused more. I really think that it helps out a lot.
Yeah.
The production quality of this LAN was probably one of the highest I've personally seen, and I know a lot of pro players from NA and EU have commented on it as well, saying like it was actually very surprising to them when we were explaining to them that ESL built like 13 PCs just for us to use in the days leading up as practice. A lot of the pro players like were very confused that they were doing that, because at some events that they've been to, it's not the same.
I was talking to Florian, who's from ESL. He was telling me he's been to every single Rainbow Six LAN event since launch. He's been to every season finals, you know, in Brazil, in Germany, in Poland, in Canada. And he said that this one, our one in Sydney, had the best production quality he's ever seen. And that is just like so awesome. Because, you know, APAC has been thrown to the sides and pushed to the background in so many different ways ever since it was announced. And actually showing that we can do things not just in terms of our players and our teams, but in terms of putting on a show. Being able to do that and impress everyone is fantastic. I'm incredibly proud of everyone who's done work for it. I mean, I didn't have very much to do with it, but everyone that did, it's been absolutely fantastic. Even coming down to having Ben on the desk and having Danny Kim on the stage, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, I just don't know what to say. I think that this LAN was amazing. As he said before, there's not much more that needs to be said. Obviously, Florian, I got to meet him as well, really cool guy. And obviously, you stated before that he said that our LAN had the best production quality, and you know, I think that's pretty awesome.
Kata, what was it like from a team manager's perspective, being at the LAN, staying at the LAN, you know, being with the team all the time, watching them scrim up to the LAN? I got the chance to talk to a lot of people on the Friday just before, and it was really interesting hearing the different thoughts and everything that was going through everyone's minds before, when they'd versed these teams, but they hadn't actually played in the actual matches.
Yeah. So we flew out a day early than most teams, because us and Mindfreak both flew out to test the PCs and stuff like that. And the second we got to the event and checked out like the room and everything like that, we knew this was going to be like a massive step up from the last event that we played in the Invitational. The fact, like I said before, the fact that they spent a whole day building 13 PCs just so people could use them for practice was pretty insane. But the whole, like, how did the team feel and how did I feel? Like, it was nothing that we've ever experienced before, I can say that much. The whole tournament was run really well. Like, it wasn't rushed or anything like that. Where we stayed was pretty close to the venue, and it just allowed for us to travel with ease and then also not be stressed about everything. But overall, the LAN was really, really enjoyable for both me and I'm assuming the players too.
What kind of a role did you have as not a player when it was, you know, coming down to sitting in the practices and doing all that?
Yeah, so actually a lot less than I thought I would personally, because this LAN we had people called player managers who were basically the managers of me, who then I managed the team as well. So a lot of the stuff I would have usually done was outsourced to someone else. So for us, we had Dylan, I think I can't pronounce his last name. It's like Polaris or something. He did a lot of the work that I would usually do, so it freed me up to do a lot of, you know, content and stuff like that for Corvidae. which was, you know, really, really good. It's not something I expected I was going to be able to do. There was, however, like a media ban at the event for the first few days, so we couldn't post anything. We weren't allowed to. So yeah, it was a lot of you know, just normal stuff like getting food, getting water for the players, and all that.
I don't think I've ever seen that much Red Bull in my life. Just gonna put it out there.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot,
Yeah, you guys drank a lot, right? Because we get free Red Bull, and a lot of the staff have slowed down on drinking it because we only get sugar Red Bull, and obviously if you drink a bunch of Red Bull full of sugar every day, it doesn't work so well. And I reckon we had like 3 months worth of free Red Bull in the office, and now it's all gone. So.
I saw a lot more than just Red Bull. There was like crates and crates of soft drink, and then I noticed some beer and cider in the fridge, and I really wasn't sure who that belonged to and exactly why that was meant to be there. But
Yeah, that's probably just for us for when we get sick of the esports on a Friday afternoon.
yeah,
Want to cry.
yeah,
Start drinking instead.
yeah. Sens told me off for trying to take one. I was heartbroken.
I guess we'll try to sort of, I guess, hop on over to PAX quickly and sort of try get Shifty involved in the conversation.
I'm just chilling.
I guess from sort of like an attendee, not really attendee, as obviously you're going there to rep Athletico. I guess how is that for you?
In general, like.
Yeah, just like in general.
So besides just if you ignore the fact that I went there with Athletico, I probably wouldn't have had too much to do as like a normal attendant. Well, you go all 3 days, it's sort of you've seen everything twice, 3 times. So it's going there with Athletico really made like the experience like way more fun than it usually was like last year and whatnot. So yeah, repping a team or an org and just doing stuff for them and helping everyone out and meeting everyone, meeting new people, which is probably the best part.
As soon as I got there and I spoke to you and Noodle, I think was there, you're just like, oh yeah, let's roll over to the Roccat booth and I'm gonna pick up like about 300 lanyards, and then you just started throwing them at people. Like people just wanted your lanyards. It was crazy. You're the most amazing salesman I've seen.
Yeah, I asked Roccat, so I went over to Roccat because I needed a new lanyard, and then they were like, alright, and then he pulls out the full bag, like they come in, and then he gives me most of them, like a huge bunch. I was like, alright, cool. What do I do with these? We'll give them to people. So then we walked around like all of PAX, just like handed them out, giving them to everyone, and they took them, and I got them all sold off. It was great.
Yeah, it didn't last 5 minutes. I think you just sold them off really quickly. I actually have one. Like literally.
I have like 5 because I kept forgetting them. The Roccat people are really nice. Like if anyone went over to the Roccat booth and had to chat to them, they're all really kind and like attentive people. They love talking to you. So.
On the subject of the booths, which booths for you were the highlights? What were the ones that you really, if someone could have gone back, what would you have said? Oh, make sure you go and see this one.
Well, I liked the Asus booth was great because obviously I was there the whole time, but I found it didn't get too crowded. They had the double side stage and they interacted with the audience the most. All the other booths I went to, it seemed like everyone was crowding because they were obviously like giving away like 1080s and stuff. But everyone was crowding around. It was just a bit hectic, and you know, yeah, the Asus booth was fun.
That was the one that had PUBG that you got to play.
Yeah. They had the CS on the first day as well.
Was that streamed?
No, none of that was streamed. That was all just for fun. That was all just get the players on board and have some fun, and they made the pros, because we had no CS pros that day because they were all at the ROG Masters. It was unlucky for them.
Yeah, winning bath towels and stuff at the booth.
Yeah, they're only giving away bath towels. That's sucks. But I wanted a mouse pad, you know.
Ben, did you actually get a chance to kind of treat PAX like you're an attendee, or were you working 24/7?
No, I hated PAX. It was actually awful.
Really?
Yeah. It was like I don't know. Some of the guys, obviously. So, just for context, for the other, like I had it pretty easy compared to some of the other ESL guys, but like they went from setting up from the Rainbow Six LAN, it wasn't one day to build 13 PCs. It took like 3 days or something. You had like 3 guys working 3 days because they're all in racks and stuff. So we finished the Rainbow Six LAN on Sunday. Then everyone stayed back. Fortunately, it finished early because everyone stayed back Sunday night to pack for packs, and then went home at like, I think I went home at 9 or something, and then everyone else came back in the morning and packed the truck and drove the truck down to Melbourne. So they said they just went straight through from what was pretty full on a couple of days. And then they set up like from 8 a.m. to midnight and essentially worked 8 a.m. to either midnight or 10 p.m. every day up until Sunday. So that was over a full week if you include the Rainbow Six stuff and then the week leading in. And for me, it was kind of like I was there like 8 a.m. till either 10 or 11 p.m. every night on the stage. So like the actual stage stuff was fun, but it was just such the end of such a long period of time of stuff. But yeah, I got to skip away for like 5 minutes at a time and did like laps of packs. Went, oh, that's cool. Looks like everyone's having fun. And went backstage and sat down and went back to what.
And you walk off. Window shopped the fun, it seemed.
Yeah, like wow, look at all these people doing fun stuff. Wow, I hear there's I got like a Twitch party wristband that was like free drinks, and I rock up to the Twitch party right at like 11:30 on Friday night after we finished doing Smite, and I get there and literally as I get to the entry into the free drink zone, the bouncer's like, just letting you guys all know, free drinks are finished now, bar tab's over. Like literally the second I got there, and that was pretty much a summary of my pack. So
yeah, because I opened at 8, I didn't know it closed. I was just I had general entry. It was still quite fun. Like, did you stick around as well?
I spent from 11:30 to 1, and then I went home so I could be back at the stand at 8. So
it was packed. I didn't really see you.
Yeah,
it was pretty much bumper to bumper with every turn. There was people.
I'm sure PAX was fun if you weren't working though. It looked good. Looked good. 1 year. I'll find out.
Yeah, maybe next year.
What's it like? Kind of, you're talking about how all this stuff, which I'm assuming is meant, like it's meant to be fun, and you get into this because you love doing it, but then you end up doing these ridiculous hours of 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. and like these. You don't actually get to enjoy it. How does that work when people say, this is what I want to do for a living, I want to work for a company like ESL and I want to go to all these events and it's going to be fantastic because it's a dream come true, but then you end up, it's just like you were describing. How does it actually pan out when you go into a career in this area?
Yeah, it's pretty, it's not as fun as you'd think it would be, right? But at the same time, there's still really cool experiences. So you sort of, I don't know, I honestly don't think, like me excluded, all right, put me out of the picture. I honestly don't think there's a harder working bunch of people in esports than the guys that work at our ESL. Like more than the other ESLs globally, they all work hard, but I think our guys work harder. And it seems to come around time and time again every time. Like some of our guys go overseas and do work, or clients from overseas come over here. I just think, honestly, the passion is there on the guys that work here in ANZ, and they just work so hard. So there's less time for fun time, but hopefully give it a few years and it'll come around, right? It's just at the moment that there's just so much work to do for some of these guys that they're just doing insane hours, but if they don't do it, it doesn't get done. So you just have to push through. And there's cool things too, like there's obviously we had IM Sydney this year, and that was an insane amount of work, but it's also really cool to be able to say that we put on the first, esports mega event in Australia, which certainly feels like it's bumped esports along a fair bit this year. We've had a lot come back from it, even, not even just for ESL, but for the region in general. Like, it feels like everything's progressed a little bit further. Like, we jumped 12 months ahead than if we hadn't had it. Because a lot of people sort of, noticed what was going on, like the 60 minutes thing as well. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like a couple of weeks, I get to go to IM Oakland. I've travelled a fair bit as well as part of the job. I think I'll do like 4 or 5 overseas trips by the end of this year that obviously I wouldn't have got to do if I wasn't working for ESL. So it's sort of, you lose out one way, but at the same time, you get a lot of cool things as well. I'm just hoping give us a few years, it just won't be so much work for a lot of these guys that hopefully there'll be enough there that, you know, that there's more staff and that they can have a bit of a break and it's not so full on.
Is it so full on because there's no chance because there's so few people relative to the amount of work that there is?
Yeah, it's obviously like the guys with the skills. It takes a while to skill up. The starters, like even like project managers or guys on production, like you know you probably seen when you walk into the production area, like there's a ton of stuff going on there. So it takes a while to skill people up. Plus, obviously, you need to be able to, you know, if you bring someone on full time, you need to be able to pay someone for full time. So there has to be enough work there as well. So just finding, you know, you might go through periods of work where you might have 8 weeks straight where you don't get a weekend off and you know, getting 1 day off a week or something, and boom, 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 boom. And then there'll be 2 months where it's quieter. So even though you've done 8 weeks full of work and those 8 weeks have kind of been stuck, you go back to a month or two that's a little bit quieter and there's not as much, you know, it's just like any business. So it just really depends. Again, I suspect like it's getting bigger and bigger, like there's so much coming through. And at the moment, you know, I think across the region, everyone's getting more out of it. Teams are getting more sponsors. You know, even Rainbow Six, like the fact that there's so much going on in the Rainbow Six community now is insane. That there's so much support there, especially from Ubisoft, which has actually been really, really cool. So if we see more of that sort of stuff, I think, again, you know, next 12 to 18 months, that sort of thing, it's going to pick up even more and it won't be as bad. But for now, it's 20 odd guys doing a ton of work for us, plus a bunch of people volunteering, which ask Jeebus what it's like. It's pretty full on. Even you, Sky, you would have seen the amount of work that some of the guys have to do. It just, yeah, it's more than you'd suspect.
Yeah, if you catch 2 seconds of Jeebus at PAX or LAN, you realize that he is absolutely screwed. He's just been constantly working and he's got no sleep. And it's ridiculous.
That's what you've got to do for the dream, though. You've got to keep pushing forward, and hopefully, very soon, APAC, or I guess AU, would have catched up to the rest of the world. As I think it's pretty abundantly obvious we're a little bit far behind. And I guess talking a bit more about esports, I guess going back to Kata, what do you sort of? I know we talked about what you do for Corba Day what you did for Corba Day at the LAN. I guess, but more generally, what do you do for Corba Day as a whole?
So in general for KataVACE, I used to just manage the CS:GO team, the old CS:GO team, with this was last year's lineup, and then I moved into more of a general manager type role, meaning I would go to the LANs with the teams that made it, and basically just go as a representative from KataVACE and help them out in any way possible I can. I'm also like working quite heavily with Nathan, who's the owner, like almost to a point where you could call me a co-owner of it, but I don't put any money into the brand, so I technically would never call myself a co-owner. But in general, I just manage all the teams we have. I make sure for events everything's sorted, everything's booked properly. It's basically just like if you whatever any manager would normally do, like whatever a player needs, that's basically what I will do for them.
Not just in the Rainbow Six then.
No, this is over probably like 3 or 4 different games.
So,
but obviously Siege is sorry to cut you off, but
yeah.
obviously in Siege, as of recently, it's been pretty full on because of, you know, Ubisoft flying us out to PAX, us going to the Invitational and the last LAN, so it's been pretty full on in Siege, but it's not just Siege. There's other games that I would be managing and, you know, flying to events for in the future.
I didn't actually realize. I thought that you were just like the Siege team's manager, so you've actually do so much more than I thought.
A lot of people get that, you know, they think that about me. That's just because I put a lot of my time into Siege currently, because obviously I used to be a player. I stopped being a player, and you know, Nathan invested in my idea of getting into the Siege scene. So I have to put a lot of time and effort into it to make sure that works. And, you know, he trusts me a lot with that, so that's why a lot of people think I'm just Siege related, because I'm always doing stuff Siege related. But yeah, in the big picture, I'm doing a lot more than meets the eye sort of thing.
Yeah. And yeah, go Sky.
Sorry. I guess staying on this topic, and we'll go on over to Shifty. I guess what is your role in Athletico?
Mine.
Or is it just
Oh.
being a sub?
Main
Well,
creator.
I listen. Yep. Well, I listen in to a lot of the games, that even if I don't play, and I try to learn the stuff they do. I often help them with when we do spectator matches. So I'm spectating and recording and uploading if my internet doesn't, you know, die as usual. So it's a bit of a mix of trying to keep up, trying to be there when they need me. So at the last couple of ESL matches, the qualifiers, I think, what was it, Alex wasn't around for a bit, so I stood in the lobby, and then one of the other teams disconnected, so we had to restart the lobby, and then instead of starting the game, Silex was able to make it, so I was going to play, so I was just standing in. So yeah, I stand in, I help out, do whatever I can, and I'm becoming hopefully more community stuff with Athletico and stuff. That'd be great.
I can definitely see that you are good at the community side of things. Just watching you go at PAX with those Roccat lanyards and like everything you were doing on the Asus booth, even on Twitter. You know, Twitter loves you at the moment. All the photos going around.
So many.
Yeah.
Some other photographer I didn't realize was at PAX and taking pictures. He posted a picture of me and I found it. I was like, oh, didn't know that picture was around. Yeah, it's good. I love community stuff. Just talking and hanging out. That's what I love.
And it's something that helps the name get around as well.
Oh, exactly. Promotion. So why not promote the community and the game and our scene?
Yeah. Where do you see, Shifty, from your point of view, where do you see things going with you and with Siege, just in general?
I don't know, because I'll probably keep the subbing for a while, and I don't see it getting too much more than that, because the degree I'm doing currently is quite heavy, so it's only going to get harder, and then I'll have more placements and less time, so hopefully more of the same, really, from where I'm at now. I'm hoping.
I got the vibe that maybe you'd be interested in going into more orgs related stuff, just seeing you go at PAX. Yeah, that's another side.
I'm yet to have these chats with Athletico and whatnot, but I'm, trying to push forward. I heard when I was helping them out with the pictures and the content, and I heard Crafty comment, he was quite happy that we were there and putting in the effort. And I was like, I'm here and I'm enjoying it, so mind doing more of this. So we'll see where that goes. And
Speaking of content, when's the next meme video coming out?
I think everyone I met that was from the Rainbow Six scene was like, where's the next video? So like I walked into the group of like the Mindshake and the KataVACE saying hi to them, and then the comment would come back to me as like, where's the memes? Where are they?
You've had a long time to work on it,
I know.
and there's so much content out there.
You should see my hard drive. I've
Oh,
got
man.
many clips. Don't you worry.
I want to see a super edition or something like that.
Oh yeah, I might do a combo PAX edition, or might just do a PAX edition and then the main. I'm not sure yet, but I got all the clips sitting there, all cut, all clipped,
Wow.
all ready to go.
We're all very keen
You're
for
waiting,
it.
yeah.
We're all waiting eagerly.
I have exams in a week.
When do you finish your exams?
So I think I have 1 week of SWAT vac, and then I have the exam after, and then I'm actually getting my wisdom teeth out. So I'm getting carried. So hopefully, I sit on my computer, all like sedated, and make the video. So maybe a week or two.
Yeah, the painkillers I'm sure will be a good incentive. It'll make you even more in the zone.
Exactly. I'm hyped because I love making these videos. Everyone seems to have a good reaction to them, and they all seem to support it. And I got a shout out to Kata, because when I made the first video, the KataVACE one, Kata like DM me and was like, we should make this a thing, and then Kata made the server with just me and him, and we post like I post the ideas and feedback and whatnot. It's just like a data. So Kata helped me sort of get these ideas out and start it, because I was fairly hesitant to make it a series. So I didn't really know much or too much about video editing and content creating, but now I'm getting really into it, getting into Twitch and whatnot. So yeah, Kata was there at the start helping me out. Shout out to Kata.
I think most people see you as the ANZ Pojo man in that respect. You just do what. I think you're filling them so far. So just do what Pojo man does, and we've got no shortage of memes. I think we've got more memes than NA and EU combined. That's
we love to make great mistakes. Some classic throws, some classic mistakes.
Yeah.
But,
Or do a Just Dance off.
Oh.
It's gonna be in the next vid too. I've archived that one.
Yeah.
I actually asked. So we're walking around with the CVD and my freak boys. I walked past the booth. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to? You guys should dance. And this was the start of the day where everyone just sort of came in and they sort of lined up, and then they were like, oh nah. I was like, damn it, that would have been some great content. And then to hear that they did it and saw the video, like, yes.
I'm pretty sure. So I bet Mag $15 to do it, and he was like, I'll do it if one of like your members does it, and none of my members wanted to do it at all.
Hey, they did in the end.
And I think Diz told the Ubisoft people
to
announce it over the loudspeaker, and they did.
Nice.
So I was walking.
So it was like they sort of were forced into it.
Yeah, I was walking around with with like the MF and CVD guys, and then I got separated for a bit. I think I was grabbing some food or something, and I get an urgent text from Dizzle, and it was like, "Dev, we need you, come now." And I get there, and he's like, "You're on Just Dance, mate." And in the end, I think it took a while, but
Oh my god.
it took a while, but it was in the end. I think it was Kings. No, it wasn't Kings. Sorry, Kings. I'm really disappointed in you for not doing it. It was Fletch, Magnet, myself, Lusty, and
Lusty, of course.
yeah, and there was one other person, Jack.
Hang on.
Jack.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so you had 2 Corvidae members. That was good.
That looks about right.
I was talking to Fletch afterwards, and he was like, I was clueless, just sitting there like putting my hands up at a time. You're trying to read on the screen, and you're always behind, and you like, eventually you figure it out. Yeah, and so I was like behind the screen, and then Fletch was sitting like standing like just behind me, and we're both kind of tall, lanky dudes, so we're like hitting each other constantly and stepping on each other's toes. And he was like another step behind me because he was copying me and I'm copying the screen. So there's like different levels of delay going on.
Oh yeah, I pulled up the video, so Pun was also
Yeah, it was
he's,
Pun,
like, in the
yeah.
middle, and Jack Dad at the back. Oh, the whole crew. So good.
I guess we'll quickly move on to the next part. I want to sort of ask a question to Ben. I guess, what do you sort of, I guess, being more of an outsider, not outsider, but an outsider towards Siege, and not, I guess, sort of, I guess you obviously host a variety of games. So I guess sort of what is different with Siege, I guess.
For me, I'll kind of come back to this in a roundabout way, and I think I've said this a few times before to different people that back in the day, right, if you were an FPS player on PC, you maybe played CS like 1.6, or maybe you got baited into playing Source, or you played like Battlefield or like COD 4 or something like that. And it kind of feels like we got to a point where if you were a comp FPS player on PC, you literally had to play CS. Like, there was nothing else. CS is not my favorite of games, and I love FPS games on PC. So for me, it's great to see that that Siege has sort of come through and brought back competitive FPS for something on PC that's not CS. And obviously, you've got things like Overwatch and Paladins, I suppose, but they're not. It's not the same thing, right? It's not like a shooter. I think the hardest thing is getting people to learn the different aspects of Siege that are not shootery, right? The tactics and the fact that someone will make a hole in the wall and you'll get shot through it, or like I remember I was playing and I'm jumping over someone's barrier and they're like, oh, there's a welcome mat there, and I have no fucking idea what they're talking about, and I just get shreked, and they're just abusing me because like I told you it was there, and I was like, I still don't even know how I died, right? So there's obviously that aspect to it, which is a fun aspect to have. It's just hard to get past. I suppose the difference though is that, like, if you were a COD player back in the day and you played like pub COD, there was kind of more room. You had more. It was easier to get into. Maybe I don't know. Like if you played COD 4, you played on like a comp server, you'd get shreked, like you get wall banged or something by a scope or whatever, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I got shreked and I didn't even get out spawn. But you'd be okay, that's fine because I'm on a comp server and I expect people to be that good. The hard thing for me is with Siege, you play a normal game and you're still getting shreked because like the roof's blowing up and someone's shooting you or something. So it's just getting past that aspect, which is a fun aspect when you know it. It's just you can't just be good at shooting, right? Like I think that's what it comes down to. You can't just be good at FPS games and expect to do well, which I think is cool. But I think that's where the whole community aspect comes into it more, where you need a solid community to get people through and to sort of baby them through, I suppose, the first steps of the game, so that they can feel comfortable and they don't feel like shit because they jumped over a barrier and you stepped on some bear trap shit thing that killed you. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Having to explain mid-cast what you're actually doing to the people who aren't as experienced is something that's actually a lot more difficult than people realize.
Yeah, and it's even casting to a wide audience is also difficult. Like casting for a new group of people to come through and to kind of get a grasp of what's going on, whilst at the same time trying to make those who are actually your core audience still able to enjoy it. I guess the reality is, right, like if you can get into games like Dota or League of Legends that really do have quite a high learning curve, and there's a ton. In reality, it's a ton more to learn there than there is to have a competent understanding maybe of like low level Siege, where obviously at a high end there's a ton to learn, but just getting into it, you can kind of get through it. So you just need people to last long enough to get past that phase where they go, oh, well, that was just too hard. And again, I think that just comes down to community and getting it more out there. I think it's a fun game to watch. Like as someone who's not part of the community, and obviously as a group, like the group of ESL staff, like we do a ton of different games, but I think the majority of them enjoy Siege. You may not, like I don't enjoy every game that I work on, either hosting or like some stuff that it's just not my style of game. But I think the majority of staff do enjoy Siege, which is good because not all of them are FPS players. There's a ton of people there that play a ton of different games. So if you can get across to them, I think you're probably getting across to the greater community. You just need to get them in there to watch it, I suppose. You need to get eyes on. So it's great when we stream and there's a ton of viewers. I want to see more views that aren't that core community. So it gets you a start, but you need to get past that, I suppose.
That made me think of two things. Firstly, I definitely agree with you about what you were saying compared to like comparing Siege learning curve to games like League and Dota, because I watched those games. I remember in like year 9 or something, my best friend was absolutely obsessed with League, and he would just tell me everything. He explained every single game concept, and I have never played the game myself. But I kind of get it, right? I've heard weeks and weeks worth of, oh, there's this new one coming out, and oh, this is the map that everyone plays on. There's this other map, but no one really likes it. And yet, when I was at GG Easy Bar after PAX and they were showing League on one of the screens, I didn't understand a thing of what was going on. I understand the basic concept of lanes, but just to people at a more intuitive level, understanding it's this entire meta game, the long term of pushing up, and oh, it's really significant because you got made like 10 meters of progress down one lane. It's so much more difficult and non-intuitive compared to Siege at a very simple level. Is you just kill all the people on the other team and then you win the round, and you win enough rounds and then you win the game. It's not that complicated, is it?
Yeah, that's the main benefit of an FPS game, right? You're literally playing a version of the movies that people have watched time and time again. It's pretty basic, and it's like, oh, I get why that guy put a hole in the wall because he wanted to shoot through it. Like, obviously that takes it to a very basic level, but it's very different to saying, oh, why did they stop shooting minions when the answer is, oh, because they don't want to push the lane too far and they want to sit on whatever. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. The things that happen in Siege make sense. It's literally just getting it out there to a wider audience. And the more that it's played, the more that it continues to get good views on stream, people will come across. It's the same as me. Not everyone wants to play CS:GO. Not everyone even wants to spectate CS:GO. It's a cool game and the scenes are exceptionally developed, but at the end of the day, it's a different kind of shooter. There's hardly any ADS. You're essentially hip firing. There's less tactics than there is in something like Siege. And even like older players, like daddy gamers, I suppose you could even say, I think would enjoy something like Siege a little bit more too, because it's a little bit slower paced. And it's, yeah, I think it just works out better, and it's a better game. You just getting those guys to watch. So the more it continues to be reasonably successful, I think the more that it will gain viewers and it will continue to grow. But just have to hope that our friends at Ubisoft keep supporting it, which it looks like they're going to do, which is amazing. Having developers support like that makes life so much easier, I think, to grow.
A couple months ago, everyone was surprised when they announced that I'll just they want to have like 100 operators in the game, and if you count,
do they really say that?
They said that.
That's insane.
That's
It's
cool.
Yeah.
Too
Wow.
much.
Yeah, and
Well, their goal, like, they've never really stated it, but I think their goal is to get enough operators to then do a band pick phase at the start of the game.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, make it more
I
like
reckon
League.
Yeah, ban Blackbeard every time. Ubisoft only. This is their one of their main competitive games they've ever released. Like it's the one most relevant at the moment. Yeah, pretty much. I don't see them dropping this almost ever because that'd just be completely insane. They should just put all their eggs.
Generally, what I find with Ubisoft games is generally what happens with most games.
Someone's mic is.
I think it's Sky. Sorry, Sky. I think your mic is a little bit broken. So I have muted you temporarily. Wait, talk again. Yeah. I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry. It's a little bit painful, Sky. Give it a shot trying to fix your mic, Sky. But yeah, on that note, like if you count 50 operators, how many do we have in the game now? Not 100. Nowhere near 100 right now. If they're releasing two every, 4 times a year, that's 8 a year. Even if we, assuming, let's be a bit generous. Let's say there are 40 operators at the moment. 40 operators to get another 60 operators. That's a lot of years coming with 8 a year. So
I thought it was always that they said they were going to release 25 a year, and their original plan was to support the game for at least 4 years. So
I do wonder how long they're going to support it for.
Just
As long as
depends
it
how-
keeps
Yeah,
getting
as long
bigger
as it
and
keeps growing.
it's
But
like
the thing with Siege that, sorry to cut you off, but the thing with Siege that like is weird to me is how big the esports community is, but how low the viewership is.
yeah, correct.
Mm.
It's very low compared to a lot of games. Like a Pro League match gets 5k viewers on Twitch and maybe 10k viewers on YouTube. That's very low.
So it goes to show how many random people like just watching CS, or how many more people know about CS and think they understand most of it. I guess.
Yeah, I actually really disagree with that. I think the viewership for Siege is huge compared to the number of people playing, to be honest. And I think it's unreasonable to compare it to a game like CS or a game like League of Legends that has been building an audience. Like, if you have a look at CS games, like half of that audience, 70% of the audience, are people betting on the game. Like, it's all about, like, literally that's what it is. Like, if we're streaming, half the people in my chat are going to be Russians QQing about someone throwing when they just don't understand the scene at all, and they're just like idiotic bettors placing dumb bets on that they can't afford to bet, right? So yeah, when you go, like, when we broadcast like an ANZ game for Rainbow Six, and we get 5,000 viewers or something, I think that's really cool. Like, I understand that Pro League might only be 10k or something, but like as in global Pro League, but when the APAC Pro League is on like an ESL stream, and I think we did that LAN and we got like 4k or something on the LAN. I think Japan had like a ton of viewers or something on either their YouTube or wherever they were streaming. I actually think the numbers are really good for what it is, because I would suspect that the number of casual players or people who have played is drastically lower than what you would see in other games. So for CS, I think half of it's people, the game's been out since 1999, right? Like, it's hard to compete with that, and it's hard to compete with betting. When you look at League of Legends or Dota, it's just got such a huge viewership, huge community that's been going since, again, for a very long time. I think that you'll find that the Rainbow Six viewership is actually, considering how long it's been going as a proper esports since, you know, the support of Ubisoft and things like that, I think viewership is pretty good. And if you can continue to get to grow and it keeps going, you can hit 10, 20k or something regularly for Pro League, I don't think you can complain about that. I think that's where it should be, to be honest. Better than most games.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Keep growing. I have a couple of mates who don't play Siege that kind of make fun of where it sits on Twitch. It's like, oh, look, this random CSGO comp's going on, and while your Pro League's getting like 5k, this is getting like 40k. They just
But
make
no one
fun of
really,
it.
no one really watches the game on Twitch. They watch it on YouTube. Like, I was looking at the views for, you know, the Atletico vs Corvette game at the Invitational, like 2 days after it happened. It had 183,000 views.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So it was, I don't know, like a lot of people seem to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There you go. YouTube's the place to be for Siege.
Yeah, daddy gamers, mate. That's what they are.
Yeah. Of course.
Don, I had something to say and I cannot at all remember what it was.
Should have stuck to the list.
List? We ran out of the list about 30 minutes ago.
Bigger list.
This is completely unscripted, beautiful, natural, organic, found in the wild conversation right here we are capturing on R6ANZ Twitch. I remember what I was going to say. There you go. Just kerfuffle a little bit, Dev, and you'll figure it out. So I was looking the other day at the numbers. I'm not quite sure what stat website it was, but it was something that I, looked at and then said, "Yeah, why not? This seems probably legit." And it was just player numbers for Siege since release. And like it was just updated every month. Like there was just a raw number of like average players per day per month. And then I looked, and if you like, it's like we're over double what it was a long time ago. There was a huge boom around August-ish last year, which happened to be about when I started playing the game as well. The steady incline of the game is promising to me, because I'd really like to see it keep growing, especially now that Australia and the entire of APAC finally has its chance on the international comp setting. Because ever since release, NA and EU have had their Pro League, and they've been saying, we're the world champions. we're
Yeah, like 2 regions.
Yeah.
They'll stay bad. Next minute, in Brazil get introduced and they stomp everyone
Yeah.
except Penta, really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And now
Very
Apex getting
arrogant
introduced.
in that. Yeah, they're very arrogant in that, and I think they it took a while for them to get out of that mindset. And now they're sort of like Kickstar and whatnot, leading the sort of charge in their own region, and pretty much a couple others, I can't remember their name, but if they support it, and the people who support them support it, we'll be right.
Yeah.
And it seems to be heading that direction, the positiveness.
Unfortunately, when our Pro League got announced, we did get a lot of flack from a lot of really well-known celebrities. But fortunately, I think we're at the repairing stage now, and I think people were particularly impressed by teams, by the Japanese and Korean teams that like R6ANZ and Mantis, who actually made it through.
The people, I saw a comment. It's like people were like, "Oh, what a nutty play by Shin. That's amazing." And they're like, "Well, what do you expect? These are pro players." People taking them a bit to realize that they're watching pro teams and they should expect stuff like this. It's gonna happen because they are good players and good teams. So
I think people are gonna really underestimate how good R6ANZ. I want to say particularly R6ANZ, but also Mantis will do at the APAC LAN, the Brazil LAN. They are really strong teams, especially R6ANZ. They're extremely strong.
I think that if any, go finish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't see them getting destroyed. Like I think they have what it takes to take maps and even take series off certain teams.
yeah, definitely.
I really think that particularly NA is looking in a much weaker position. I mean, obviously Continuum looking very strong this season, but the rest of NA haven't been looking very strong. And Infamy is the second team that's going to be at LAN. Infamy have only come out of Challenger League I remember when they're back in Challenger League, so it's been reasonably recent, whereas there are a lot of really old teams in NA still. And I think that R6ANZ will absolutely smash Infamy, and honestly,
Big call.
I think that it's very possible. R6ANZ are fantastic. They have 3 amazing fraggers, who just all like Arena, Shin, and Onesie are all fantastic, and they're like the team coordination is on point, the organization is on point, and keeping a clear head is fantastic. They don't crux. They don't like just like crumble under pressure. Even when taking it to a best of 3s, they've been doing fantastic, and they show that when they're in the upper position, when they're playing more aggressive, they absolutely dominate. Even on the second day of LAN, we only had 2-0 best of 3 series. And this was coming from day one, where every single one was a 2-1 scoreline. It was 2-1 Mindfreak Norengo, 2-1 Corvidae New Life, 2-1 R6ANZ Cryptic, 2-1 Mantis Unique Monster, and then it was we had 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. The ANZ teams didn't do as well on the second day. The teams, Mantis and R6ANZ were incredibly strong, but even after that, even when Mantis played so strongly against Mindfreak, R6ANZ put them down in 2-0.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them come out so strong from the match before, and they sort of didn't seem that strong against Mantis, not against R6ANZ. So.
Yeah. Spectating the first Mantis game versus Unique Monster, I really wasn't that impressed by Mantis, honestly. But I feel like they played a completely different game going into the Mindfreak matchup, because they absolutely dominated, whereas we're seeing Unique Monster, a team that plays very aggressively, but also kind of gets over, very well in its aggression, but also just stupid peaks, peaking when you don't need to peak. And the match point of the Mantis Unique Monster game is a perfect example of that. There's a 2v1 or something in the 2v3 or something, and the last Unique Monster guys were just peaking unnecessarily. They're so confident in their gunfights, and when they lose their gunfights, they lose entire rounds just because they were getting aggressive and peaking. And Mantis kind of demonstrating a similar thing.
Mantis and R6ANZ, I think they did so well against the Australian teams is because, one, the meta is completely different, but I also think I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Mindfreak here, but I know our team um, definitely underestimated how good they would be. Not just like thinking, we would beat them or anything like that. Ainz was a team we'd never versed. We looked into like watching their VODs and stuff like that, but we'd never played against them, so it was really hard to tell where we would stand against them. And I think the aggression that they showed really stumped us. I think the same for Mindfreak and Mantis as well, but you're right, Mantis did play very different against Mindfreak than their other games on the weekend.
Yeah, something that I was really interested to hear when before the LAN, everyone was talking about how Cryptic was going to be amazing. When I got to the LAN, I was having a chat with Dizzle, who seemed to think that Cryptic hadn't been performing too well in just the practice games and the scrims. Was your team confident on the Friday that you were going to be taking it home, or just like at least winning, like seriously dominating some of these teams?
Well, honestly, like New Life, again, was the first team we versed, and we knew nothing about them. There was one VOD that was in Korean, and like it was extremely hard to, get anything from it. But after we versed them and won, look, if we were versing Cryptic in the next day, we would have been a lot more confident because we've versed them, over 50 times. Like we've played them so many times, and it's always like 50. It would have been a 50-50 whoever won that. But unfortunately, we didn't get to verse them. We got Ainz, and yeah, we got destroyed. But I think it's a massive learning curve as well. Like if you get beaten by a team 6-5, 6-5, in a tournament like that, it's going to be pretty heartbreaking. But we got pretty well done. So I think instead of like none of our players were disappointed. Obviously, they're going to be disappointed, but it wasn't like, oh damn, we lost, like let's just go home. It was just like, okay, we lost badly, how do we fix it? So I think that was the general consensus from both Australian teams. It was just like, well, we definitely aren't doing something that like we're doing something wrong here, because all the Asian teams are very strong compared to how we played.
That said, I mean, you said you were really confident if you're pretty confident 50-50 if it was Cryptic that you were going to be playing.
Yeah. Well,
And
again, that comes down to the fact that we've played them so many times. Just crazy.
Yeah, but then Cryptic versus Ainz, when I think it was 6-4, 6-5, 6-5 or something. We almost saw them.
Very close.
Yeah. And yet Ainz and you guys wasn't close, even though you thought it was going to be 50-50 with Cryptic. Like, Cryptic and Ainz were a really close match, and you think you and Cryptic are a really close match, and yet you and Ainz, obviously Ainz came up so much stronger. Do you think that comes down to a play style kind of thing?
It's definitely something to do like with play style and meta and stuff like that. Like we know how Cryptic plays, we don't know how Ainz play. Like you can watch as many VODs as you want, right? But when it comes down to the day, they could be completely different. They know we watch their VODs. They could change up their play style. So not taking anything away from them, they were 100% the better team, but definitely the better team, and they deserve to have won the entire tournament with how they were playing. But yeah, I think if we versed Cryptic, it would have been a lot closer than what the scoreline was against Ainz, because yeah, we just hadn't versed them. I think the same you could say for Mindfreak as well. If Mindfreak versus Unique Monster, I don't think it would have been a blowout.
You reckon that Mindfreak versus Unique Monster would have been a tough match for Mindfreak?
No, honestly, I think Mindfreak would have taken that quite easily. But obviously it didn't happen. It's like everyone said coming into it we had the harder bracket, but yeah, I don't know. The brackets were pretty even in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and that said, when it's in a format like that, it doesn't really matter which bracket you're in. You're gonna, I mean, of course it matters because if you win the semi-final, then you get a spot to LAN, which is kind of a big deal. But I mean, Mantis and Ainz, both very strong teams, and I mean, would you have rather come up against against Mantis in the semi-final?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because we've versed Mantis as well.
Oh,
we know
really?
How they play. Yeah. So the only team at the entire tournament that we hadn't played was New Life and
Irons.
Irons. They were the only two teams.
So did you play Mantis before actually going to the LAN, or is that just the scrims at the LAN?
I think both. We played.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we played them on LAN and we played beforehand as well.
Yeah,
But
'cause-
on LAN, I'm not 100% sure it was them. We versed. No, this wasn't them. No, go on.
I was gonna say, like, on the LAN scrims beforehand, like I was saying before, like talking to Dizzle, he thought it was gonna be a blowout because he'd been playing against the teams and they're like, oh, you know, these guys aren't that good. We're winning them. Like, winning the match is pretty easy. I think that was really deceptive because I feel like
Yeah.
some of the teams tricked themselves into thinking it was gonna be easier by not realizing that the other teams are just trying to get a read on you. They're not playing for, they're not playing for sheep stations here.
Well, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about which teams did this, but there were teams at the event who players have, they've said they did this. They were basically not trying at all in the scrim days.
Mm.
So, we picked up on it kind of quickly after like the first few scrims. We knew teams were like doing that, but it was something very prominent over the week. Like it was obvious.
Mm. Well, I think that we've just hit an hour, so I think it's just about time to wrap up. Do you have anything else to add, Sky?
His mic's still
Unfortunately,
ruined.
Sky, unfortunately your mic is still ruined, so... Attempted co-host.
Pay respects.
Yeah, can we get some Fs in the chat for that one? Poor Sky. I'm sorry, Sky. Let's hope that this doesn't happen on Sunday for the CG ladder match final. Convenient segue. I'm gonna plug the CG ladder match final. We have Team Tahit, formerly known as Vanquish, versus Zuronic on Sunday night. It's gonna be casted by myself and Sky, duo casting. The we're bros now, by the way. And that's gonna be casted on R6ANZ at some time, which will be announced somewhere where I actually remember the time. One other thing, so I have a video that was made by the Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit. They do these highlights videos, kind of like what we were doing in the past weeks with the podcast. But what it is a top players of the week video. So this one is all about the APAC LAN. So it goes through the players that they thought were the top, and it cuts together some clips of them being nutty. And it's voiceovered by Emzo, the NA caster who's been in KataVACE, Poland for quite some time. So he's in the chat sending love. So yeah, we love you too. So we're gonna play that video on stream. And one more short plug is that next week on the podcast we have some very special guests, some very special famous guests. We have Emzo himself, who's the one who's doing the voiceover in this. Emzo and Interrobang, the North American casters who have both been in KataVACE, Poland, casting all of the Pro League, all of the Brazilian, the EU, and NA Pro League. And I believe all of them will be at LAN. Not Emzo. I don't believe Emzo is going to be at the Brazil LAN. But really excited for next week. The subject there will be getting an international perspective on APAC and ANZ. So let's watch the video and then we'll come and say our goodbyes afterwards. And give me a moment to remember that I did not prepare to set this up. Awkward.
Nice.
Yeah. Shifty, say some memes for a second, please.
No, just subscribe to RX Shifts
Oh, wow.
YouTube. Follow us on Twitch because we're starting to get loaded now with my new camera here. Gonna start streaming different games, and yeah,
I was getting...
Man.
plugged.
Yeah, I was getting messages from both Rizraz and Kings. A little bit of a bromance going on there. They were both telling me to give them a shout out. And so, and I was asking them for bribes. So we won't go into detail of the level at which I have been bribed, but it has occurred. Can confirm.
Stackers.
Yeah,
Any stackers?
Stacker's definitely going to happen. But, by the way, I did buy Jeebus a Zinger Stacker. I really hope you enjoyed that, Jeebus. If you're watching, you looked absolutely fucked after that first day, after that second day of packs. And I really hope that the Zinger Stacker made the difference. Anyhow, we're going to watch this video now, and we'll be back afterwards. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? This is Emzo doing the voice this time for the R6 Pro League subreddit. Today we're going to be looking at the top 5 players for week number 6 of year 2, season 3 of Pro League. First up, we have Envy Taylor of Mantis.
How are they going to use it to come upstairs? Because attacking upstairs can be very, very hard.
Nilio playing very aggressive on that Habana. He hasn't used any of his ex-Kairoses yet. He might want to, get onto that before he's exposing himself and peeking. And it looks like we're going to see a floor fight there. Magnet goes down. Envy Taylor does so successfully through the floor after having droned out that area.
Yep, Envy Taylor there. What a great shot from him.
And that's the smoke off the board. We talk about smoke denial, but that's massive.
Now, Envy Taylor is pushing in. He has thrown a nag. Nilio finds Lusty as well. Just like that, it comes down to a 2-on-2 here. Kings and Punisher versus Envy Taylor and Nilio. Kings gets into a bit of fight with Envy Taylor. Envy Taylor empties his mag and has to pull out his pistol. Nilio finds Punisher's head. Now it is all up to Kings in a 1v2. He does not quite find Envy Taylor there. There we go. Envy Taylor clutches it out there. Beautiful coverage of the plant.
Next is Shin Bagel from Cryptic.
That's the C4. That's the C4.
The 3K, it's now a 2v3. Shipper managed to get one. Quantic managed to get another. It's now a 2v2. These guys are going to be dropping soon. Now it's Shin Bagel and Quantic. Quantic has made it into the site. Shin Bagel has fallen in. And now, and Shin falls, and it's all up to Odin Miso. Quantic and Shin Bagel have almost no HP left. There is no one above. They just have to get the plant down and cover. And now the plant's in.
Oh, he does see his foot.
And gets the injury. It's now a 1v1 with Shin on almost no HP. This MP5 SD has an incredibly high fire rate, incredibly low damage.
Shin!
Fantastic shot.
Shin
from
manages
Shin
to
Bagel.
get that small pig and get the kill on.
Wow, so that's the second attack round we've seen. Oh my
Goodness.
Next we have Shin from Team Ainz.
Almost loses his head. And there we go. Once he does get tagged up a little bit, but Shin comes out with the first kill as Envy Taylor drops.
They have it now.
Yep, Iron's now in a 3v4 here. As Kha'Zix has gone really low as well. He's been taken even lower, actually.
Yeah, the planet range. He's going to do the rotate from outside. Oh, that's so good. That's how we saw Oni-chan go down, the rotate from outside.
Yep. However, he managed to successfully get through. And Nilio could actually be in a bit of trouble.
Well, there we go. It's a 4-on-1.
Yep, soon as he sees gets one. Oh! What a beautiful shot by Shin there to finish off the round.
Then we have Rizraz from Corvidae.
And
it makes sense if you know you can do it,
yeah,
right?
and it puts that makes it a 2 versus 3.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. It is entirely doable. Rizraz can hear Com for sure. And he's starting to try and peek him. There he goes. He sees him. Doesn't quite get him. He's trying to go for it. There we go. Beautiful aggression from Rizraz. Finds Com. Defa have done really well today for themselves. And we just saw an elbow. And Nova gets taken out there.
Classic Corvidae aggression.
Yep.
Just peeking outside.
Yep. You peek once, you see them. You peek again, take them out.
And then finally, Aero Arena from Ainz.
Quantic managed to take him down.
And Lunametal takes out Suzu. Arena going for the double kill. Downs, I believe, Revik, yes. That is a 3v3 situation just like that. He keeps on being very aggressive. Shin gets the Shin Bagel.
Gets taken down while Arena is complete. Arena with the 4K.
Oh my goodness.
Let's take a look at that scoreboard now. Arena has brought himself right to the front of Iron, saying, I am a strong fragger. Hell, I can even get kills while I'm completely ying flat.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/emzoemzo, to watch all kinds of other casting outside of Pro League, as well as follow me on Twitter @MZO to find out when I'm doing such casting. And to make sure to pop onto the subreddit at /r/R6ProLeague on Reddit to follow all the cool happenings.
there you have it. So that was the video from the subreddit Rainbow Six Pro League. You can join their Discord server. You can join the R6ANZ Discord server. The Nightbot will periodically post that link in the chat. You get yourself roles and stuff. Kings wants a shout out, so Kings gets a shout out. He bribed me, so I had to. I'm sorry. One also other Discord server you should definitely join is the Rainbow Six, the R6ANZ podcast Discord. I'm going to post the Discord link in the chat. What we use this Discord for is absolutely everything, anything and everything to do with the podcast from a community perspective, and the staff stuff. So everything goes on there. If you want to help out, give some feedback on the podcast, if you want to send in clips for us to show, just come along. And if you want to help out with the graphics or, you know, video clipping, like that video at the start, the intro, which I spent literally all day writing the music for and then making the video, like if you want to come and help out, we can't do everything. We can try, but you know, the more the merrier. If you want to help contribute to the podcast, get on to us. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you to all the special guests that we have today.
Yeah, no worries.
What was it?
Glad to be here.
What was it like being on the podcast? It's like two cents. Yeah.
This is the second time I've been on it, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. And since we're at the end of the podcast, can I just say, all those international Rainbow Six players who I saw shitting on APAC for having Pro League, what a bunch of fucking potatoes you are. How can you think that you're entitled to a game, firstly, without an APAC Pro League? Firstly, why do you get a Pro League without APAC? And secondly, what kind of moron thinks that their game's going to succeed without Asia? Have a look at PUBG. Where do you think the other million players came from, the other million concurrent players? They're all Chinese, you fucking morons. Thank you. We'll get there. And one day you will lose to a Korean team and you'll be very sad. Then I'll say, I told you so. Thanks.
At Fabian, at Pengu, at Kickstar.
That's going to be on Reddit.
That's going to be on Reddit. Someone please clip that right now.
I put it at the end so you could clip it out.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That's going in the video.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ben, for saying what some of us, I'm too scared to say on stream, but would absolutely love to say. Thank you for everything that you've done for Rainbow Six. I mean, it's your job, but we thank you for it anyway. It's been really cool getting a chance for all of our community to be on stage. Just everything like on the official Rainbow Six Pro League channel, on the ESL stage. It's been absolutely amazing, and for volunteers like me and Sky, it's been an amazing experience, and for every community member, I think. So for your part in that, thank you.
No, it's good. Thanks. It's good to be part of a community. So it's we love it, and it's a good game. So it's even better, right? It's more fun. It's more fun when we enjoy it. So and the community's been great to work with, which is makes it life much easier. So thanks for letting us do the things.
Thank you very much as well, KataVACE from KataVACE for being on the show. Like I said, second time you've been, but you know, we're really keen to see what's going to come out from you and your whole team soon.
Yeah, no worries, thanks. It was good to be here.
And speaking of things coming soon, Shifty, I'm just going to say once again, you better get those memes coming back soon.
Coming. Sorry, we just got some more content just there.
Yeah, that's prime content.
Hell yeah.
And Sky, is your mic working again?
It's the Sky's.
Sky, I don't think Sky's mic's working. Feels bad. Oh well.
Rip Sky's mic.
Sky, just wave to the camera and say goodbye. All right. See you later, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
See ya.